Okay.
Cool.
And I got a whole nother SSD for my computer just for this. So this should be recording right into that SSD, which means it should convert faster.
Oh, gnarly.
Also.
Okay.
So that should be nice.
Excelente.
So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right then. Do you want to lead us in to the production? I think is it you or me this time? I can't remember.
I don't know. I think it's you.
I feel like it was you.
Was it? I feel like
Really?
it was you. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought I did Krampus. Did I not do Krampus?
Sounds very plausible. I think you're right.
I don't remember.
It's too long ago. My memories failed me.
I know. So much has happened. We had this Capitol stormed.
Oh my goodness. Crazy stuff.
Accidental amputation. That's how I wrote it.
A little bit.
I wrote it down on my timesheet as accidental body modification. Or unplanned. I wrote it down as time off due to unplanned body modification.
That's so good, dude.
Yeah.
Oh man. That picture too. You're gonna post that on Instagram?
Oh man, I no. I'll post it if people request it, but I can't. That's not a thing that most people want to see by accident. You got to warn people that there should be something like that.
There should be like a spoiler warning, like something that you had to like scratch off on Instagram in order to see like the rest of it. You know what I mean? That'd be cool.
Yeah, like how you do text with the block. You have to highlight it to undo the text.
That would be nice.
I wonder if there is. Reddit has a thing where you have to click OK to see stuff. Facebook has that. I wonder if they have that. I don't know anything about Instagram. I wonder if they have something like that.
Yeah, I don't know enough either.
It's not really relevant to the podcast.
Cool though.
Yeah.
Nonetheless,
it's there.
I'm sitting here looking up our podcast intro, and I forgot that we have it pre-recorded. It's like, all right, I got to do that intro.
No,
that's too good, dude.
That's all right.
Shows how sharp I am tonight.
That's all right. It's been a while.
Get my radio voice going. What's the dude's name in Airheads? The radio announcer.
Oh, I don't
DJ.
know. God, I don't. When was the last time?
The Sticky Bandit, or what is it? The Lone Rangers. He's like, well, shouldn't it be the Lone Ranger? Because it's just one of them.
Right. I can't think of the last time I saw that movie.
Movie's classic.
That movie was funny as shit. He's wiping his ass with the contract. That was good. I haven't seen that in forever, dude.
Brendan Fraser and Chris Farley's in it too, I think, right? He's like one of the fans or something like that.
Yeah. Well, of course, Farley would have been in it because he was in everything with all those guys, right? I mean, they were all buddies, so they were all in each other's movies. Yeah.
So good.
That's funny. All right. Will you tell me?
You know, just quickly, what year was this written?
96. It was written and shot in 96, and the radio play was in 2013. It was originally they did the show first, and then he wrote the book after the show, or the book came out after the third episode. So it was originally shot for a show, and then he wrote the book, and then later wrote the author's preferred text version, which is what we listen to.
You just blew my mind. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah. It changes everything.
Yeah, it really doesn't. The movie, the show and the book were at the same time. Essentially, they were basically written at the same time. He was asked to do a show by Lenny Henry, and we can get into Lenny Henry if you want, because he's into British comedy really big, and is actually in the Amazon Lord of the Rings miniseries.
Oh, gnarly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's Lenny Henry, and then so during that, Gaiman was unable to film everything that he wanted to film. And he just kept thinking, fuck it, I'll put it in the book. It's okay. And then he wrote the book. But then later did the author's preferred text, which I guess is like the director's cut of a book.
Okay, save this for the podcast. This is very interesting. I want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So.
Damn. Okay.
Okay. It doesn't change anything. We read a book.
And it doesn't change it. It just makes everything cool.
Right.
I'm just so cool. It's a little cool fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I'm gonna record on Audacity.
Okay.
Now?
Now?
No.
Recording?
We can restart it. Okay. 3.
Wait. Hang on. Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Record.
Okay. Recording.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Testing. Mic check. I don't know why it dropped my recording volume again down, but whatever. That's how it's been doing it every single episode.
Yeah. I seem to be okay. I played with mine a little earlier. It should be okay.
Episode 6 we're on?
We are on episode number 6. It's actually our 7th episode, but it is episode 6.
Excellent. Okay.
Because we had the 0th episode. So this is episode 6.
Perfect. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Holograms Media Club. It's going to be starring yours truly, William Graham, and cousin
Gavin Graham.
Did I throw you off with my William?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? I don't have a long name. I don't have like a Gavin Graham.
Gavin. That's perfect. I like that. That's what we're gonna go by for now on.
Okay. Maybe not.
Yeah. Gavin
Gavin.
That's your pet name.
Yeah.
Reel it back in here. Welcome, guys, to the Holograms Media Club podcast, episode 6. Tonight, we're going to be going over Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Yep.
And it was written in 1996, back in the 90s. So I would have been 10 years old when this book came out.
Oh, that's nuts. That's funny.
That 96. Dates me a little bit.
I'd have been... Well, I was in my 20s. I could drink. I was probably drunk. Probably drunk. It's a good bet. I think I was drunk for most of the 90s.
That's the way to live it back then.
Yeah, no, totally, dude. Yeah.
Totally awesome.
Cargo shorts and a big fat metal beaded necklace and a chained wallet and drunk. That was my 90s.
There you go. Yeah. Big baggy jeans.
Big bag. No, I never did that. I never did the big baggy jeans. That was other people's thing. I never did that. But I did do.
I didn't do big baggy jeans either. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was thinking with the chain, you might have had some baggy jeans. Maybe not the.
No. No. Even when it hit skateboarding, all the big baggy shit hit skateboarding with little tiny wheels. That was never us because we were always like pool and vert skaters and shit, and that was. You can't run from the cops in baggy jeans. No, it just never hit.
Nights.
Yeah, never hit us. So, yeah. So Neverwhere. It was my book for you. Coming off of Krampus, I thought it was a nice meld into Neverwhere. What'd you think?
It was a really cool way to start the new year. I think it was a very fun fantasy read that takes us into a really cool world that I couldn't help wanting to explore more as I was reading or watching or listening. I guess we did all three. So we did the Audible book, which was also, I guess, read by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, that was a treat. Yeah.
He's got a really good, I guess, narration, like narrator voice. I think he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he did. Well, he knows how he wants it read, right? I mean, it's his book. He reads it the way he like.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I almost didn't. At one point, I thought, I don't know. He's not reading the characters the way the characters are in my head. And then I was like, I'm nobody to tell this man who his characters are. He's the guy. It's not like listening to Scalzi going, well, I don't know, maybe John should have sounded like this. or listening to Scott Brick or somebody else. It was like, no, this is Neil Gaiman. He's reading the characters the way that he made the characters. I have no right to tell him how these people should sound. But it was fun. He does have a very good voice. He's a really good storyteller. Like, not just a good writer,
Yeah.
but a good storyteller. So I
couldn't help just yeah, totally. And wanting to get into that world, I feel like, especially exploring the TV show. I guess you had told me to start with the TV show first, watching that. So that was interesting. It was a different way because typically I like to read the book first with most things, just so I can picture it, in my mind.
Right.
But I think this actually really helped. I don't know, kind of create a different feeling for going with this one. It was really cool getting to see the characters. I think the actor that played Richard, our main protagonist, he did a really good job selling the character. So basically, for a rundown of the book, there's kind of a, I don't know, boring guy, Richard. He's British. It takes place over in Britain, and he's moving over to London, and he's got a very horrible girlfriend, Jessica, and they're going out to dinner, and they stumble upon basically what looks like a homeless lady, and that needs kind of some help. And from there, he ends up helping her, and he gets kind of sucked into this underground world of London that is just so cool. That's what I was talking about with wanting to just get into. I feel like he needs to write a book for every single character that's in this world, but maybe that's part of what's so good about the book.
You want more, right? Like, I mean, you want more. Now, there is apparently, I've heard rumored that there is a short story about the Marquis de Carabas getting his coat. There's about him getting his coat, which I've never read. And Gaiman has said in the past that he's not opposed to doing a sequel. And continuing that story from somewhere, but I don't know. It was cool. I really enjoyed that. It was. I think when I first came across it, I think I read it first, and then I found the TV series at Barnes and Noble in their DVD section. You remember DVDs?
Man,
I know, right? And then I watched that, and then and it I guess it was written as a TV show first. It was brought to Gaiman by Lenny Henry, who, if you're into British comedy, there's a show called Chef that's really funny. Or if you know Dawn French or French and Saunders, Lenny Henry and Dawn French are connected. French and Saunders are connected. Jennifer Saunders is married to Ade Edmonston, who was in The Young Ones, which was punk rock comedy back in the early 80s. Has nothing to do with anything, but you should watch and listen to all of these people because they're all fucking hysterical. But Lenny Henry came to Neil Gaiman and said, "Hey, I want to make a TV show. Let's make it about homeless people." And Neil Gaiman said, "Well, we could, but I don't want it to be about homeless people. That's kind of rough, and I don't want homelessness to be cool." So he didn't, and he made it this magical world instead. And then I guess the book was released, I think maybe during the broadcast of the third episode. So he sort of wrote the book as he was filming the show, or as the show was being filmed. And then later wrote the version that we listen to is the author's preferred text, which I guess basically comes down to a director's cut of a book. Because if you're going to have a director's cut of a book person, it's going to be Neil Gaiman. So, but that's debate. And then that was all in 2000, or excuse me, that was all in 96. And then in 2013, they did a radio drama, which was also a lot of fun. I listened to that maybe a year or two ago. I ran into that and listened to that and thought that was fun. Very abbreviated version. Very short
that was
version.
fun.
But
definitely really cool. The cast in that: Christopher Lee, James McAvoy, Natalie Dormer, Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like an all-star.
Right?
Ridiculous. Who they found the perfect people for that. That was a lot of fun. The sound effects and
real full on. Yeah, I think that's been our first radio drama on this, and it was cool. I think it helped. I think I told you specifically, don't do that one I think I will ask you to do the TV show first and then read the book and then do the radio drama.
Mm-hmm. That's how I did it.
Okay, cool. I suggest if
Oh, yeah.
anybody's listening and wants to do this, I suggest a radio drama later. I don't care if you do the book or the show first, but don't do the radio drama first because there's so much detail left out.
You'd be a little lost, I think, with just doing the radio drama. You'd be kind of asking a lot of questions.
Right. I think it's like
figure out.
I think it's like a 13 or a 14-hour book listen, and the radio drama is like 3 hours and 45 minutes. So it's like shows you, really cut down, really good, but very cut down. So I suggest people do. I like the show. I thought the show was great. I thought the show was really cool.
I thought the show, like I was saying, it's totally set it up. And I was so impressed, I think, because later on I found out that Neil Gaiman had such a heavy hand in the show. Like the dialogue between the characters on the show and the book, and then the character, like the actors that they got to play, like certain people like Vandemar and Krupp, who are like the best villains. We're gonna have to talk about them here for a minute because I love those two. They just, something about them. That's what I'm saying. I want a book just about them.
They're gnarly. He started out, do you know, so Krupp and Vandemar were in a children's story that Gaiman was writing. This was years and years and years ago. He had a scene where they were in, like, I guess middle century Europe, like 400 Europe or England in like year 400 or some crazy shit. They were in a children's story, Krupp and Vandemar, sitting down at a table in ancient England, eating a puppy. And he never really
sounds about right.
He never really did anything with it. And then later he was thinking up Neverwhere, and he came back to the names Krupp and Vandemar and thought that they were original characters, and then eventually found his little story about them sitting and then going, oh, I've recycled my own characters. But that was Krupp and Vandemar's original. Their original place was in ancient England eating a puppy in a children's story.
That sounds perfectly on spot for their
completely
character.
Completely reasonable. Yeah, no, they are. They're scary. They're like scary villains. They're not your normal book villains where you're like, I could probably take them. You couldn't take these guys.
They're very intimidating. The fact that they look like humans and take the human form, but then clearly they're not, because they have all of these superpower, like, where they can seemingly teleport, and they can throw knives into their hand. And I think there's a funny part where he says, do we not bleed if we get stabbed, or if we get hit with the knife?
Do we not bleed if you cut us? And he goes, no.
I love their relationship. That they can kind of read each other's minds. I feel like they can see what the other person, even though one of them is clearly, I guess reflects his feelings differently. The way that he's basically the speaker for the two of them.
Krupp is circumlocucious, and he's got he says that about himself, and Vandemar is not. He's not a man of many words. He's a man of many hits and kicks and hurting you. But they make a great
you can tell
team.
They know each other.
They know each other really well. They work together really well, and you have a feeling that they've been partners for a very, very long time, and they found each other and they get along, and they are sort of wolf and fox. Although I find Hunter is very cat-like. He describes Hunter as cat-like, and her reflexes and the way she looks and everything else, I get this real feline kind of feel off of Hunter. So I don't think that it's unusual just for those two characters in this world. I think that sort of thing probably comes up a lot. Well, and then the rat speakers were basically fucking rats anyway. So, but
Marquise he describes as a great cat, a lynx, or a huge black panther.
Marquis Carabas, that was Puss's name in Puss in Boots. That's what Puss was given.
No way. Okay.
That's where. So when he said my name came out of a lie and a fairy tale, Puss in Boots. So and Puss, right? He's a cat. He is very cat-like. He's very feline. So there is that as well. There's a little bit of that. Not every character has an animal analog, but that theme does sort of float about a little bit. So.
Yeah, it was funny because at one point I was kind of waiting, like you said, not everybody did get one, but I was waiting for Richard, and I don't know if Dora ever got one, but she's kind of like not a panther, but like a leopard or something like
A
that.
little, yeah.
But was waiting for him to kind of have like this grand reveal where everybody was really like an animal or something like that at one point.
Right.
Because I've read Stardust, and I just know that he can get very fantasy.
Yeah, he can go really. Yeah, Gaiman's good. Gaiman is. He's a great writer. He really enjoys writing. He'll set himself up with really crazy challenges. He set up himself to write. I think he did a book of poetry or something where he wrote in all these different styles of poetry, not just poetry, but like he was like iambic pentameter and all this other like words that I don't know, like Shakespeare style in all these really, but like he only do one. And then he's just like, cool, I did that. And then he'll move on and then he'll do something else. And he really enjoys, if you read a bunch of his stuff or watch a bunch of his stuff, because more and more of his stuff is coming out in different mediums now. There is that sort of otherworldly feel to it, very sort of Tim Burton-y, not Tim Burton, but the same way Tim Burton has this sort of style about him. Neil Gaiman has that same sort of style, but it's all very different. I wouldn't say that Stardust and Neverwhere were samey. And if you read American Gods by Gaiman, it has that same sort of feel about another reality sort of under ours, but not the same. So he's really, really good at doing different styles of different things. And I think he really just enjoys the challenge of writing in different styles. So it's hard to get tired of reading him. I find it's hard to get tired of reading him. He's not very like Stephen King that has the same story over and over and over again. Sorry, Stephen. Yeah. Sorry, Stephen King, if you're reading this, but we all know the small town sheriff dies, and we all know there's a flashlight, and we all know the bad guy comes back in the last 2 pages. We know that. Sorry. And if you haven't read Stephen King, spoiler alert.
For every one of them. every they're entertaining, one. But
oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And I've read a lot of Stephen King. I've read a tremendous amount of Stephen King. But Gaiman's not, I wouldn't say Gaiman's the same. And he does different stuff. If you like graphic novels, he did the Sandman series, which is renowned for being phenomenal. That's apparently really, really good. Not a graphic novel guy, so I can't tell you. And then American Gods is out on, I think it's Amazon now.
Mm-hmm.
That got picked up by Amazon.
Good Omens, maybe.
Good Omens is really good. Good Omens. Also, him and Terry Pratchett, who's an author that we're going to run into at some point in the future. You have Terry Pratchett in your future.
That's Discworld, right?
That's Discworld. Yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me all about that.
Oh, dude, so good. So Gaiman can do comedy too, because Good Omens was funny as hell. Like it wasn't necessarily a comedy, but it was really funny. So. And there's little bits he likes throwing things in too. He there's a couple of little hidden references in Neverwhere that I don't know if everybody picks up on. Like when Lamia says, "I don't eat curry." That's a line from I think the 30s Dracula. Like that's an old Dracula drop. And then when Dora is talking to Richard and she says, "What's your name?" And he said, Richard Mayhew. Dick.
Richard Mayhew, Dick.
Richard Mayhew Dick. That's directly from, he lifted that, not the name, but the line from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams. Douglas Adams has a part where his protagonist, Arthur Dent, introduces himself and he says, "My name is Arthur Dent," and everybody calls him Dent Arthur Dent. So he thought that was kind of funny. Too funny. So there's a couple little things in there that he's picked up on, and he'll throw back too. He's not afraid to throw back to other people. So I enjoy Gaiman. I fully enjoy Gaiman. And I think now, do you see now what I was saying? Like Krampus is a bit Gaiman-y, like
where it has that kind of, it's a real world, but it's got that underside. It's got that,
yeah. Yep. And some poor sucker gets sort of sucked into something that he really had no business being in. And at the end it worked out, but kind of, like didn't want to be there at the time. So yeah, just sort of, yeah.
It was so interesting how he is, I guess, that's kind of what the whole book is about, or one of the lessons in the book is like, don't take for granted like what you have at the time, or, once also what's the saying for, there's like the famous saying for like, don't like when realize what you have at the time type of thing, you know, looking back on it, like you don't know what you had when you had it. Did I just say that?
Something
But
more or less.
there's some sort of famous quote or whatever, you know, that goes with that.
I don't know. I'll take your word
Anyway,
for it.
Yeah, we'll chalk that up to one of those.
Yeah.
But
we'll put it on Instagram when we figure it out.
Should never happen.
Hey, I posted a couple things.
I
posted a couple things on Instagram. That's not a completely dead page.
I did see that. That's cool.
I didn't put a lot of effort into it, but
go check out those things.
Yeah.
I put some notes up there. Yeah.
We have YouTube. If you're digging this and you want to see bonus footage, we put up some past episodes with bonus footage on YouTube. So
definitely go check that out. Pimp us out.
A lot of behind the scenes bullshit and shenanigans going on. So
tell us to your friends, or tell your friends to come check us out if they're into that sort of thing. But anyway, you were saying how Neil Gaiman works some comedy into a lot of the stuff that doesn't necessarily start out to be a comedy book or whatever, or a comedy show. And I thought that, getting back to Krupp and Vandemar, they were just the most hilarious characters ever.
Absolutely.
Like even at the down to the end when Krupp kind of goes through the portal into wherever Doris sends them.
Yeah.
And Vandemar kind of like looks over, sees him go, and he just kind of shrugs and it's like, all right, let's go. You know, he's
and he just says bye.
I couldn't just help but just it's just hysterical. He just reaction.
no idea what to do without his partner. And his partner's not there to tell him what to do anymore. So, but that was really funny. Yeah.
He's like, I need to be with him. And also down to like their description, there's a part in the book that he describes the two of them. Here's a quote. He says, "There are 4 simple ways for the observant to tell Mr. Krupp and Vandemar apart. First, Mr. Vandemar is 2.5 heads taller than Mr. Krupp. Second, Mr. Krupp has eyes of a faded china blue, while Mr. Vandemar's eyes are brown. Third, while Mr. Vandemar fashioned the rings he wears on his right hand out of the skulls of 4 ravens, Mr. Krupp has no obvious jewelry. Fourth, Mr. Krupp likes words, while Mr. Vandemar is always hungry. Also, they'd look nothing at all alike." Like, just to end it with that little short sentence, it's like,
no, Gaiman's he's funny. He has a good sense of humor. He really does. That's for sure. I thought the Marquis was terribly funny as well. Just absolute villain. I mean, essentially, right? Like even Dora's father said he's a fraud and a liar and a thief, and he's probably a monster, but he'll help you out. So, and the Marquis, I mean, he based his whole everything on a lie too, and even he knows it. So, and he knew he was a coward, but I thought the Marquis was funny. And
everything that he does is in exchange for a favor in the or
trade and barter.
Promise or I love that the whole society underground is very similar but different, and it makes you feel like this could be like a real world in a way. Like, you know, there could be these people that we just don't notice, and that's also another comment on our like modern day society when we see poor people on the streets, and so many people, I think, I mean, me included, a lot of the time we just kind of put our blinders on and we walk right by
them.
And it's just another,
and more so now than even a few years ago, because I never gave away tons of money, but I'd always give somebody $1 or $2 if I had $1 on me. But now I don't have cash, and I can't just tell this guy that sleeps under bridges, get Venmo, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like, although that happens. I was listening to in China, there's so many We app and stuff like that. There's so many people that have that. The beggars in China have QR codes and barcodes that you scan and send them money. Like, everybody in China doesn't use cash anymore. So even the homeless people are getting donations.
That's nuts.
Over
Switching
their phones.
Over.
So I've heard rumor that's true here in San Francisco.
Homeless have phones. My mom told me a story. Yeah, with like cryptocurrency or like just like digital currency kind of stuff.
Right.
But my mom told me a story when she was out in Maryland. She worked at like a food shelter of some sort, and a lot of the people that were coming in they were actually leaving reviews on Yelp, and the food shelter had like a 2.5-star review, like because
Oh no,
the food wasn't that good or this or that. It's like
that's funny.
that's so I
Choosing
don't know,
beggars.
ironic that they're able to get on their
Right.
smart device and leave a review.
That's funny. Leaving a bad review too. Like, come on, these people.
Yeah.
Like, it might be day old bread, but like, what more do you want?
Take what you can get.
Yeah, that's funny.
Too good. But
That's funny.
oh man. I did want to talk about a scene with when Marquise is on, as you say, how he was like kind of made out to be a villain, but halfway through you do feel bad for him when he's put up on the crucifixion board and nailed through, and that was intense, like especially in the show, because I think they leave off on that note on the episode.
Yeah.
So we were watching maybe an episode or two a night. I watched the show with my wife. There's, I think it's 6 parts, and they're each like a half hour, so you can get through it in a night or two. But
it's like a good long movie.
Yeah, we were taking our time with it. So like, I think we left off on that note. I was like, man, do you think Marquise is gonna get it, or like? And when he walked down there too, I was thinking, is he the traitor? Because they had mentioned that there's a traitor in your midst, and the whole time you're meant to think that it's him, especially with his sly way and but he's up on that crucifixion board, and he's actually not on, I don't know if he was on a cross, but he's also on a circle. And the way that he looks like the Vitruvian Man, like it's the famous Da Vinci.
Right.
And so it makes me think Krupp and Vandemar, their whole connection with like the killing of like art and like everything basically that's good with humanity, their whole basic means is to destroy. Like they're not only out to like kill people, like that's what they say, like I can't remember what they say when he answers the phone.
Where was that?
It's something hilarious. It's like, Mr. Vandemar, I don't know what their name of their business is, but
it's right here. Krupp and Vandemar, the old firm, obstacles obliterated, nuisances eradicated, bothersome limbs removed, and tutelary dentistry undertaken.
Too good.
Yeah.
But that just makes me laugh too.
I know. Right?
But they're basically not only like hitmen, they're also out to destroy anything that like humankind or mankind has created.
Anything
as far
good.
as like the Sing dynasty or Tang dynasty
sculpture.
Beautiful sculpture that he's that was funny, because Marquis is like, oh, I'm gonna break this with the hammer if you don't back off,
right?
And then he ends up eating it anyway.
But it's not it's not for him that the thing is destroyed. It's that he destroys it and that he consumes it. And that's true. That's the thing. He doesn't want to.
That plays into that whole idea.
It's not just like a chocolate bunny that you drop and now it's in pieces, but it's still chocolate. It's that whole, he wants to be the one to consume it. And he wants to be the one that, I don't know if destroy is the right word, but he wants to be the one that does it. And that's part of it for him. That's the object. That's the thing. That was
And there's those moments where he's eating something or he's throwing the razor blades at his hand, and or Vandemar's golfing with the frog.
That's fucked up.
Like
rivet, smack.
I definitely say go watch the show if you guys are listening this far. I'm sure you've read the book, but for sure check that show out. It was really well done. Like you said, I was mind blown that you told me that the show came out first before the book, just because I don't know if that happens very often, that an author writes the show and
not
then goes
often,
and
but
writes a book.
Yeah, it does happen. But Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was written, the show and the book were being written at the same time. The show is being written and filmed. They actually hadn't finished writing it. Douglas Adams hadn't finished writing it while he was writing, but occasionally. That's the answer, is occasionally. But cool. And this worked out really well, and it was a lot of fun. I'd never thought about at the end, and this is just something that I picked up on this last go around. It never occurred to me. I've read it, I don't know how many times. I've read it a few times. I've watched it a lot. listened to the radio play a few times. At the very end, when they're in Islington's chamber, right, or cell or whatever, Door's strapped to the columns, Richard's strapped to the columns, Hunter's dead, the Marquis strapped to the columns. Croup and Vandermeer are basically just ragging Richard, like they're kicking him and they're beating him. They've broken his finger, and Door finally says at the end, right there, right when they're about to cut his ear off, when Vandermeer has a knife and Richard's already bleeding on himself, and Door says, "Stop, stop! I'll give you the key. I'll give you the key." She had the key the entire time, or whatever, or I'll open the door for you. She could have done that before they beat the shit out of Richard. She could have done that before he broke her finger. And Richard never picked up on it, right? Like Richard knew that later he learned that he actually had the real key, but he never picked up on the fact that Door basically let him just get pasted. And it was for the look of the thing, but it's for the look of the thing, right? Because if you just go, "Oh shit, don't hurt my friends. Here's the key. Maybe that looks suspicious.
Totally, yeah.
It wouldn't have.
I was going to say
that's
Croup and Vandermeer would catch on to that in a heartbeat.
It would, right? Exactly, right. They're smart enough. They are good at what they do. I think they would have realized that, and I think Door knew that, and Door had to let Richard get a little fucked up before she just started going, "No, don't." Now, a broken finger you can survive, right? I mean, that's, but a cut off ear is a bit much. But that was.
How about cut off finger?
A cut off finger. You can survive that. I can testify to that. You can cut off. You could survive that. Yeah. But that occurred to me. That occurred to me. I'd like to see a sequel where Richard is like angry about that for a couple days. I feel like he deserves to be angry about that. That he was basically used as bait and as a toy, so that Door could convince everybody that she was actually giving up the real key. Like that, well, after everything that he'd done and gone through for her, and as many times as she'd apologized, she's still at the very end let him get absolutely ganked.
That's why he took so much time back up on the upside,
right? Yeah,
to come before he came back down.
Yeah. So, but I never picked up. I only picked up on that this last listen through. That was funny though. I was like,
wait a minute, that's fucked up.
That's fucked up. What a bitch. Like, that's messed up, dude. This guy has given up literally his entire life to help you. So, but I loved it. I thought it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. It was a good read and a good time. Which was totally of the three? Did you have a favorite version?
I feel like because I did watch the first maybe 4 episodes, and then I started to read the book kind of behind it.
Right.
And they both just gelled together for me, so that and because they were done so closely, Neil Gaiman's hand in each one, I feel like I can't even separate the two of them in my mind. I do really think that the book, because obviously it's a book, it has a lot more detail into that underworld. Maybe the book would probably be a close first, and then the show right behind. I don't know. I really do enjoy doing the Triple Crown of all of them. Like you said, like it's almost a must. Like, it's a lot of Neverwhere, but I couldn't get enough of the world, and I can't wait. Like if he ever does a book, even like the Earl on the train.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like every character that he runs into, you're like, wow, this guy has a whole entire backstory, and he tells you just enough.
Yeah.
That allows you to paint this complete picture in your mind of even like not only characters, but like of the surroundings. So like when he's walking through London and the undergrounds, I really do feel that you can picture everything in your mind, and he paints just enough detail where it's not overbearing. It's not like a whole page or a couple of pages worth of detail about that scene, but it's just enough to let you create this picture in your mind. Really enjoy that part of it. And I do think it was a really easy way, if you're somebody that's not super fantasy driven, if you're more of a sci-fi reader, this is certainly a way to get into fantasy, because it's based a little bit in reality too. So
it's a little fairy tale-y also. Like it's kind of, there's some fairy tale-y stuff going on, and just I can't remember somewhere, and I couldn't find it. Somewhere he was talking about he had an idea, and it might have been Blackfriars Station was the impetus for this world that he eventually came up with. Sitting on the tube line one day, wondering if there were ever Blackfriars at Blackfriars Station. It may not have been Blackfriar. It may have been Angel Islington, or it may have been Earl's Court. But it was one of those things. He just wondered, I wonder if there's ever been an Earl in Earl's Court or Blackfriars at Blackfriar. It was one of those things that just triggered a thought that bounced around. But I can't find, I looked for that earlier tonight and I couldn't find the information on that. But I remember reading that somewhere.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Just
I like that because it is based in reality, that he's able to put little tidbit facts in there, like the fact of the Great Stink in London. And I listened to a podcast. It's like a Discovery Channel podcast. It's once a week they do like a history this week, and it'll be that week, but a famous event that happened in history during that week back in whenever history. So one of them was all about the Great Stink, and it goes all into like the details of how the sewers were clogged and the river backed up. And it goes, so it was really cool when he got into that in the book. I was like, I know all of the details in this.
Right. That's a real
I can totally
thing.
Picture this all. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. There's just enough reality in his stories to make it plausible. Like, is it really plausible? No, but kinda. Like,
well, it could be,
It could be. Like,
there could be people down there.
And it's,
And the floating market idea was really cool.
The floating market was,
it's just changing once a week or such.
Whenever. Yeah. I don't even know if it was ever been on a schedule, and apparently never in the same place twice. Although I find that hard to believe. I think eventually you'd run out of spaces. So
you'd have to figure something. Yeah. Everything about it. Like mind the gap, there's this whole story of what is in the gap that almost takes him down. And
it's actually a thing. Like, it's a thing in our world, but it's just a little minor thing. But in their world, it's a really, really, really big thing. Like, it's an actual concern.
In Knightsbridge.
Knightsbridge. That's scary as shit, dude. Knightsbridge is.
Imagine going through that bridge. It wouldn't manifest your nightmares, really. It was just like these crazy.
I don't know.
Crazy things that.
For everybody, maybe it's different. Yeah. And then
that's the crazy. Yeah. It's like, what is the history? How does this bridge come up? How does this bridge get created? Or where did the troll under the bridge come from? What is down there?
Well, and what made it scary for me was when Richard said, or Hunter and Richard and Anastasia were going across the bridge, and Hunter said, "Now's when the night comes." And Richard says, "What, the kind in armor?" And Hunter just goes, "No, the kind that comes when the day ends." And I was like, fuck, that's scary. Like, that's like, I don't know what it is about that tone or whatever, but just, that was like, oh shit. It's real.
Especially because Hunter's saying it. It's like,
exactly. Well, even, I guess at that point, you don't know how badass Hunter is, but you hear it and you understand that it's a scary thing. So then later when she says, "Mind the gap," yes, Miss Hunter, ma'am, I will mind that gap.
I'm listening to you.
I'm listening to you, which of course Richard doesn't, and almost gets sucked down the gap, right? Like,
he's a slow fella.
Yeah. Well,
slow to the uptake.
Yeah.
I was doing some research and just watching. There's a ton of videos about Neil Gaiman, or just on YouTube with Neil Gaiman in them, and he's actually, I think, known as like the #1 Twitter sci-fi comic book guy or something like that.
Probably.
He tweets a ton, so he's got a big presence on social media. But I was watching some videos with him, and he was kind of talking about 3 books that have changed his life. And I was interested if you had an idea or could think of one book that changed your life.
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be, major.
Yeah, no,
groundbreaking, but
I don't know. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would be one. Because it's a commentary on a lot of things, but it's also extraordinarily funny. But there's a lot of, and maybe not just that, but maybe the series, if I could count the series as like one book, because there's little bits in all of it, but mostly probably the first one, Hitchhikers. There's a lot of commentary about our society in it, but it's absolutely just hysterical. There's a scene, spoiler alert, if anybody hasn't read Hitchhikers, on I think a 40-year-old book. There's a scene where, have you seen the movie?
I have, yep.
Okay.
Most Def.
So yeah. Most definitely. There's a scene where the whale, there's two nuclear weapons, and one turns into a bowl of petunias and one turns into a whale, and they both fall to the ground and the whale dies. Douglas Adams wrote that to see if people would get upset about a whale dying. And people got upset about that whale dying. And yet you have television shows where people die by the hand of people constantly and nobody gives a shit. So I thought,
what an interesting test,
right? Yeah. He just was curious about that. So there's all sorts of stuff like that in there. So I think Hitchhikers would probably be, but it's also extraordinarily funny. And I don't if I'm nothing if not appreciative of the humor that you come across, right? Like I try to, it's one of the things I try to do is find the humor in everything. So
I'd say so. Yeah.
Try,
well,
yeah. Well, I tell my kids, something bad will happen to my kids and I'll laugh and they're like, Dad, what the fuck? I'm dying here. I'm like, I know, but if it's going to be funny tomorrow, it may as well be funny now.
Life is too short.
So.
Can you remember when you read that book, or what was the first impression that you have on that?
I would have read that in junior high school, which would have been the early 80s. So I don't remember when it came out. It was several years after it had come out. I mean, I think junior high school is when most people get introduced to it, but it would have been junior high school down the street here in Tacoma Park.
Tacoma Park, Maryland.
Yeah. My friend Jamil turned me on to it. He's the one that turned me on to it. Yeah. That's when we discovered stuff like Monty Python and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and all that shit. And we were like, God, British people are so funny. So
that's where the love started.
I guess that's where it started. So yeah.
That's cool.
So what's one of yours? What's a book that did the same for you?
So I was thinking, trying to think of these, this groundbreaking epic story or book that changed my life because of what happened in the book or the plot, the actual characters or some sort of something within the book. But I actually, thinking back to it, was when my dad, your uncle, Larry,
I've met him.
He, well, just for listeners.
Yeah.
Larry. He recommended a book, Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton.
Oh yeah.
And this was at a time where I hadn't been really reading much. I think I maybe had read a few books. I was really into reading when I was younger, and then I took maybe 4 or 5 years off in between the end of elementary and middle school. Like I've read obviously for school, but I was never into reading.
Yeah.
And I can remember my older brother Tom sitting in front of the fire reading like Lord of the Rings and just being kind of envious. He's got this my dad had this red leather bound copy. Actually, I think it's back here now. I have it.
Oh, nice.
Of the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy,
cool.
Or Fellowship trilogy.
Right.
It's been passed down. And so I remember my brother Tom reading that, and I was just envious. This is a book that he's reading, and it just seems so epic. He's sitting in front of the fire. I think our white cat Max was sitting on his lap,
oh, wow.
Winter time. It's just like this vivid memory I have and kind of talking to my dad and saying, I really wish I could be into reading again, or I want a book.
Right.
And he just handed me Eaters of the Dead. And I think it's one of the earlier books that Crichton has written.
Right. I
don't know if it's like definitely not the first, but it's one of the earlier ones.
No, but I think it's some of his earlier work. Yeah.
Something about that story just grabbed me and pulled me in. And ever since then, I have not been in the middle of a book. And I was
That's
probably
awesome.
like, that might have been 8th grade, 7th or 8th grade or something like that.
That's
And
awesome. That's
maybe,
cool.
maybe even 9th. But yeah,
Right.
so
But right in it. Yeah.
I've, yeah, that's a definite life changer because, it's
Right.
just, there are people where I say they get into these books and they read them and they get out of them, like, you read Harry Potter or something, and then they're like, oh, I haven't read for a couple years, or,
Right.
it's just this void. I don't need to pick up a book, or I just got so depressed once this series ended. I didn't
Right.
feel like I don't understand that. I've always been in the middle of a book, and ever since
Right.
Eaters of the Dead. So that's
Funny.
nice.
That's really cool. I've read a lot of Crichton. I've never read that one.
Really?
Yeah, I've
Oh
never read that book. And
man.
a lot of everybody I know, it'll come up. I've had a lot of people suggest it to me, and I've read a lot of Crichton, but I never
Dang.
got
Okay.
around. It's funny because usually, like, if I get into an author, I absorb that author. I'll read everything that I can by that author, like all in a row.
That's exactly. Yep.
And
That's
then,
exactly what I did.
yeah. So I've read a bunch of Crichton. I've read a lot of Michael Crichton, but I think maybe we didn't have a copy of it, and I couldn't find a copy of it because this was back when paper books were a thing.
Mhm.
And we used to go to the used bookstores. Silver Spring had a couple of really good used bookstores, so we'd go searching for the used bookstores. And I guess I just never ran into a copy. And then by the time somebody had a copy around, I was off on somebody else, I'm sure, and just never got around to reading it. So I'll have to amend that. But
Damn.
it's
Yeah, we might
funny.
have to bring that up in
It's
the book club.
yeah, we might have to. That might be worth doing. It might be that might be worth doing. I've never wanted to not read it. I just never got to it. But
Yeah.
that's cool, man. That's an awesome story. I like that. That's cool.
I was sitting there thinking, like, watching Neil Gaiman talk about his 3.
What
I'll
were
have to
his
put a
3?
link to his 3, because now it's been like a few weeks since I watched that video, and I can't remember what his 3 books are. I should have probably written those down and the reasons for him.
That's all right.
But
We can throw it up in the description or throw a link for a YouTube
yeah, we'll
video
put
or
a link
something.
to that.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's more beneficial hearing it from his
Yeah.
perspective
right.
anyway, because it's a pretty cool story.
He's a good orator. He really is. He can tell a story.
And I can't wait to dive into his other books, just like you were saying. Once you get a good book by an author, you're like, man, I want to read everything. So American Gods and Anansi.
Anansi Boys is so good, dude. Yeah.
Anansi. Okay.
Anansi. Yeah, Anansi. Yeah, and American Gods is really good. This was almost going to be American Gods. I was going to do this. I was going to do American Gods as this book, but a couple of the gods were very similar to gods that were in Krampus, and I didn't want it to be that similar. So I think sort of the same sort of under reality and some sort of just, Joe Schmo getting sucked into otherworldly stuff was close enough. I didn't want to get it too good. But American Gods is a fucking good book. That's a really fun
might have to
book.
get that on the book club going in the future too, if I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. You shouldn't. Don't wait. Just do it.
No? Okay.
No, just do it. Just do it. I mean, I'll assign it to you if you want, but just do it. It's good. American Gods is really good. Anansi Boys is really good too. Anansi Boys is really good.
And that's a sequel to American Gods, right?
It's sort of
same world.
Same kind of world.
Like it was on when I was looking at things.
I don't know if it's a direct sequel. I can't remember. It's been a number of years since I did Anansi Boys. I did American Gods not too long ago, actually. I think within the last year or two, I've done American Gods again.
Okay.
I
nice.
did not like the TV show American Gods. I only got about 15 minutes in and then I bailed on it. I did not like the show. That's not to say the show is bad. It didn't do it for me. I would suggest in this instance doing the book first. And then if you want to watch the show, check the show out.
Give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
That's the Prime show, I think, right?
I think it's
Prime?
It's Prime. I think it's on Amazon. Yeah. I can't remember for sure. It's on one of the 3 big ones. Oh, it must be Amazon. It's got to be, because I know it's not Netflix, because nothing Netflix does is any good. Hulu, I don't even know if Hulu has originals.
They do, I think. Yeah, they do. I know they do. Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah. There's one that I'm interested in. I haven't watched it yet, but
okay.
Looks looks interesting anyway.
Right.
But speaking of assignments, you had assigned me before Christmas, before New Year's, to watch Rare Exports.
Oh, yes. Did you watch it?
Which was a really fun watch. It.
Okay, cool.
It's on Amazon Prime actually, so I was able to catch it on
cool.
there.
Okay, there you go. Okay,
which was really cool, and totally enjoyed it. It's what is it? Polish, I think.
No, it's Finnish.
Finnish. Okay.
Finnish.
I
think it's Finland. I think it's Finland.
They're neighbors.
I think it's both cold and they talk funny.
Yeah. It's cool though. It's this interesting story of a Finnish small town family where they kind of stumble upon, the whole town is mining, and they stumble upon what appears to be a hibernation of Santa Claus / Krampus. It's hard to tell because he looks a lot like Krampus.
I think mostly old school Santa, but in the movie it's old school Santa. They don't actually make mention of Krampus.
Yeah,
but it has.
Well, they show Krampus in pictures.
I think in the movie it's not Krampus, but in reality it's kind of a cross between the two. It's definitely.
It's messing with my mind.
It's not a nice Santa. It's not a nice Santa.
No.
It's not the
So they come across his like hibernation cryo chamber in the small town, and I don't necessarily want to spoil it for anybody that's going to watch it, but there's some really interesting ideas with elves that are working for Santa. And I'd say the acting was phenomenal. It's in a different language, but it was really, really well done. There's some younger kids that are in it.
Yeah.
The main kid is probably 10 years old or something like that. And it's great. He was really good.
Duarte is really, really, really good, right?
Yeah. And it was just, I started it. I think I got like 2 minutes in. I was going to watch it by myself, and I stopped it. I said, I got to watch this with the wife. I think she's going to like this.
That's cool. Did she like it too?
Yeah. So we watched it. It was
cool.
Our Friday night movie.
That's awesome.
And it was very enjoyable. It was, especially this time of year. I think it even though it's revolved around Christmas, it's definitely watchable even after Christmas. The year.
No, totally.
I think it's one of those ones where toward the end it gets you kind of in that feel good mood, and it makes it feel like you could revisit it every year. For
I do.
Christmas
Yeah, I watch it.
Mood.
I watch like, that, and I watch A Muppet Christmas Carol every year. Those are my two Christmas movies. Like no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and people ask me what it's about. It's about Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
It's vaguely about Santa Claus, because it is vaguely about Santa Claus. You don't really ever see Santa, right?
No, yeah, he's just hinted at. Mm-hmm.
He's just hinted at, yeah. But it's fun, right? I mean, it's a fun little movie. If you don't mind reading a movie, if you're not afraid to read a movie, it's a fun little movie.
Yeah, and it's as I say, it gives you that Christmas feel good feeling, but it's rated R, and it's it's a feel good feeling. It's not just like a Home Alone, like, oh, the family gets together in front of the Christmas tree and everything's good again. It's, we'll just say, explosions. It's like,
there's some explosions. There's some wolf pits.
If that doesn't get you excited, yeah.
There's some wolf pits.
It's great.
The
filming was really, really good too. I don't know what I was expecting when you said it's this movie. I think you kind of just told me it was like a foreign movie about Santa Claus, maybe.
Yeah, vaguely. Yeah, it's a Finnish movie vaguely about Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's really well done.
Yeah,
like I said, the acting's great, and the cinematography was really pretty great. Yeah,
it's really pretty.
So totally recommend that one for you guys.
I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like that. Yeah, it is. It's one of my, every year I watch that, and I watch A Muppet Christmas Carol. That's one of my two, no matter what, come hell or high water, Christmas time movies. So that's, to me,
definitely we'll be adding that. Yeah, that and Krampus.
And Krampus now is on that. Yeah,
to read Krampus.
Yeah, I think Krampus will start.
Make sure to put the candy in the shoe.
Listen to Krampus in early December, and then Actually, I have to take my candy out of my shoes. I think we're finally past Yuletide now. I can get my candy and put my sambas.
Time to eat it.
I can start wearing my sambas again. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I totally, like I say, really enjoyed Neverwhere. I can't wait to get back into a lot more Gaiman. I'm gonna, like you said, I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
Ender's Game, rereading that
Oh,
series
okay.
again. That's a
Right. That's a good
classic. It's
series.
been a while since I've gotten into that, so I'm revisiting that, and I think I'll get into American Gods after. So
American Gods is
can't
really
wait.
good. Yeah. Yeah. And Gaiman, and like I say, Gaiman has a theme. He has sort of a style, but it's not the same book over and over and over again. He does do enough different things that it's
It's
a
not
lot of fun.
formulaic at all. It doesn't
No,
seem.
he has a style, but he's not formulaic at all. And he's a really cool
Mhm.
guy by all accounts. There's a story going around on Twitter. Like you say, he's a prolific Twitter user. I think even more so than Trump, especially now because Trump got his
Yeah.
fucking ass kicked off of Twitter.
Oh. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. So somebody was writing a report in English class on Neil Gaiman and actually wrote him down as Neil. And the teacher said, you can't do that if you don't know the person. And if you're not on first name basis with them, you don't get to use their first name. So this person tweeted Neil Gaiman and explained the situation and said, hey, I write you down as a friend so that my teacher will let me call you Neil in my report. And he goes, of course. So he actually
Wow.
got to, the person that wrote the essay actually got to write Neil down because
That's
yeah. So that's
badass.
Gaiman. So I thought that was I thought that was cool. So
Oh yeah,
some high
I've
school
read.
kid out there. Yeah.
I've read about him that he likes to write with the first copy of most of his books with a fountain ink pen.
Really?
And he started that practice with Stardust to get
Interesting.
more in touch with like the early 19th or 18th century 1900s or whatever.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that's what he does with his first. I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and
That is cool.
in relations to like inking and drawings and stuff like that, I thought that it was really cool. I did some research on some of the copies of Neverwhere. I guess have an artist drawing. I think his last name was Riddell. In the margins of the actual book. So it's a
Cool.
copy of Neverwhere where he just draws throughout the entire book. It's not just like chapter headings where it's a drawing.
Right.
It's like in
Oh,
the
gnarly.
margins, little doodles here and there. So it's like,
Oh,
a
cool.
kid's high school journal,
Right.
So I thought
Right.
that was really cool. If you ever are going to read the actual physical copy, make
Yeah.
sure to get that version.
See, I just had a mass produced paperback. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's funny. That's
It must
awesome.
be more recent, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So I
Not
thought
a
that was
paperback.
cool.
I bought my paperback, I think, at Giant Food too. So it's not like I got the super fancy one or anything. I just got what was available.
Well, back in the 80s too.
Back in
So.
the yeah. Well, 90s.
Oh no,
96.
90s.
It
Sorry, what was I thinking?
had to have been at least 96.
Yeah.
So yeah. Although I probably didn't read Gaiman, I probably didn't find that until the 2000s, early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. That's probably when I found him.
Okay, nice.
So I can't claim early adopter on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think you have a buddy of yours that's gonna be coming on to the next episode in order to
So
introduce us to the next book.
We actually have our first guest is the internet's one and only Aaron Blake. And if you don't know this guy, you should check out his IMDb because I'm kidding. It's a buddy of mine. He doesn't live far from us. He's actually a really good dude. He's going to come on, and next episode he's going to come on like all the rest of the listeners should. So Aaron's popping our guest.
Yes,
cherry.
please.
He has picked an author that I love, but a book that I have not read yet. The author is William Gibson. So if you like cyberpunk, if you like futurism, if you like that, you'll love William Gibson. He's not necessarily the easiest author, but he's great. And the book is 2014's The Peripheral. The Peripheral by William Gibson. So we're going to read that, or more accurately, listen to that. And then we'll talk with Aaron. We'll have Aaron on next go around, and that's his book. I'm excited because I love Gibson. This is a book that I have not read by Gibson. Fairly recent. It's only 7 years old, or 6 years old.
And I think
great.
looking into
Gibson's
it's a
great.
trilogy, or it's going to be a trilogy.
I think it's, I believe there's 2 books out. I think the book 2 came out, I think in 2020, right? Just recently.
Yeah, I believe,
and then I think
2019 at the end or
another one
something.
is coming out. Gibson's done 3 other trilogies. Gibson's done a lot of stuff. He's done some nonfiction as well. His fiction includes the Sprawl trilogy, the Bridge trilogy, the Blue Ant trilogy, Neuromancer.
So very cyberpunk,
Very
futuristic.
He's the guy that invented the word cyberpunk. So if you want to check credentials, he's the guy that actually made the word cyberpunk. That's his word. He created that. So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's legit. He's very futuristic. I don't want to say that he predicts the future, but it's a little eerie what he gets right and what is possible. He's great. He's fantastic. Like, everybody should read the Sprawl trilogy. Everybody should just do that. Like, you should just do that. Period. That should just be a sign in schools. Some of his stuff has been made into movies. Nothing great. I think Johnny Mnemonic was one that got sort of co-opted from him. There's some other stuff. If you read enough of his stuff, you'll see some of his things have been picked up and thrown into movies, not necessarily with his permission or blessing. But he's great. He's been a favorite author. I'm really excited to do one that I haven't done yet. So he's not an easy author. He will dump you in the universe and you have to just pick up where you left off. There's no primer. There's no nothing. It's a little bit like Herbert, where you just get dumped into Dune and your ass is just there and you gotta try to figure out
playing catch
context. Yeah, you're playing catch up through some of it. So if you're not afraid of that, he can be a lot of fun. But he did Gibson's great. So yeah, so Aaron will be here next week and or next episode, I mean, at any rate. And we'll talk about
totally
that.
excited
So
for that.
That should be
excited
fun.
to have a guest on.
I know,
someone
right?
to talk to you other than your ass.
I know, right? Yeah, no, totally.
I love you.
Yeah,
it's gonna be great.
No, it should be fun. It should be fun. And then hopefully some of the other people that listen. I know we have another listener that I've been hounding about coming on, but he won't. He keeps saying
we'll have to get him on. Come on.
I know, right? Like and this is Martin. I'm talking specifically about Martin. So I've called you
Martin. We'll have you on.
So,
you're coming on, buddy.
I know. He's not even a sci-fi. He's not even a huge sci-fi guy.
10 people listening.
Martin keeps telling me he's not a huge sci-fi guy, but him and his kids just watched all the Star Wars movies in a row, like all of them in a row. And then they had a little poster contest and they all decided what of all the 9 movies, or even 10, I guess, if you go into the other stuff, or more if you go in even deeper. I guess they watched the 9. Mm-hmm. They all looked at him and his kids all looked at their favorite posters and judged all the favorite posters, and they all came up with their favorite posters from all of this. But he claims not to be a sci-fi guy. Like, come on, Martin, you're one of us. It's okay. And you can read one of these books and come on with us. So
come into the fold. We'll take you in.
We'll see. Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Yes.
So
blue cookies.
Blue cookies. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
To go with your blue milk.
Go with your blue milk.
Agri biscuits.
Oh, actually, really quick, talking Star Wars. Have you watched all of the second season of The Mandalorian?
Oh, hell yeah, I have.
I just binged it this last weekend.
Okay, so I've been waiting like a month for you to finish.
I know, right? I know. I've had things to do.
Have I watched The Mandalorian? What did you think?
I loved it. I thought it was really good. I was a little skeptical. Spoiler alert, right? Spoiler alerts. We're gonna talk openly. I'm not talking in code here. So if you haven't seen it, stop now. Ahsoka Tano.
Don't listen on.
Yeah. Timeout. Ahsoka was badass, but we knew she was gonna be. But she was even more badass than I thought she was gonna be. Boba Fett made sense, I guess. Good. I was worried about Boba Fett not making sense, but Boba Fett made sense. And Luke got spoiled for me about a week before I watched it. I'd been so careful and kept myself completely blind to, I mean, I knew Ahsoka was going to be in it. I knew Boba Fett because you see actors' names and you're like, oh, fucking Ahsoka's going to be in there. I could deal with that, but I didn't know Luke was going to be. I did it to myself. I was on Reddit reading a thread and it said spoiler, and there's a little black bar and you have to highlight it with your mouse to read the spoiler. And I read it. And I what the fuck did you do that? Why did you do that? What were you thinking? And I sat there at my desk like this. And I thought, maybe it's not true. Maybe it's not true. Maybe it's somebody fucking with me. So it did get spoiled.
Too good.
I know. Like what? Like
still, that's so good. It's such a good scene. Good.
And it was okay. Like it was okay. And my middle son Blaze, he hasn't watched it yet. He's holding out for another weekend. He wants to watch the original series first and then sit down and watch it through. But he got spoiled on it too. And I told him, I said, it's not that big a deal. It isn't life. As soon as you saw the X-Wing, you were going to know it was Luke. I don't care that there was X-Wings earlier in that series. As soon as you saw that X-Wing,
I don't know. It took me to the glove.
Really?
I just, because as somebody that didn't know that it was going to happen, you see the X-Wing and you're like, oh my God, there's no one else that has an X-Wing right now.
Well, but the two cops that pulled over, they had X-Wings, right? When he was on the ice.
Yeah, but you know that it was.
But you knew.
At that point, you knew that it was a Jedi because I think Grogu or either that or Din Djarin looks over and like the way that the music.
Well, just the music and everything.
The X-Wing comes in. You know that it's not just like a fat boy coming in on.
Yeah.
As a police officer or whatever, this has to be a Jedi. But I knew it was a Jedi, and I was like, but you still don't know. Like it took me until I saw the glove, and I was like, that's fucking Luke Jedi or Luke Jedi, yeah. Luke Skywalker. And I look over at Adrielle, my wife, and like, it's Luke. She's like, what? She didn't had no clue or whatever.
Right.
But it's just, it wasn't that until the glove.
Okay.
I think you see the glove before the green saber, right?
I can't remember. I'll have to check it out again.
Saw those.
But I think
until after the glove.
But it wasn't at the face reveal, right? Like you knew long before the face reveal, right? Like, I mean, as soon as the green saber came out, there couldn't have been any question. Even casuals would have had to have known at that point, right? My feeling, it was spoiled for me, but my feeling was, I think I would have guessed it when I first saw the X-Wing because the music changed, the mood changed. It obviously wasn't just some rebel scum space filth trying to give out tickets, and
they couldn't bring somebody from like Rebels or whatever. What's his name?
It wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be Ezra or anybody because they never had X-Wings, and Ezra I think was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ezra was before all that, so Ezra would have been really much older. That would have been a little weird.
He's only the only other Jedi kind of.
Him and Kanan, right? Like that would have been one of those something. It would have been a little weird. I think that I would have thought it was Luke, and maybe it would have taken till the glove. Maybe that would have been the one. Maybe that would have been the thing.
It's because I did think,
but
when I saw the X-Wing, I'm like, oh, this. You want it to be Luke, but it's just like with all the stuff with all the back politics of Disney and everything. You're like, oh, they're not gonna do Luke good. They're just not going to do it. Like it's too big of a character, too big of a star power to bring onto the Mandalorian.
Right. But they did it, and it wasn't. So it wasn't because when I saw it, I was like, "Well, fuck, that's messed up. Like, how the hell is that going to even make any sense? Like, what? That's just some more Disney bullshit trying to throw everybody. We call it nostalgia boner. Like, it's just like you throw everybody in everything just to have them in there." Like Ponda and those guys in Rogue One. It was like that was ridiculous. Yeah, well, it's not even fan service. It's just nostalgia boner. It's not even like it doesn't even make any sense to do that. So that was my assumption it was going to be like that. And it was not. And it wasn't. And it was okay. And it was like, oh yeah, Luke is going to take Grogu. And Luke is going to handle that. He's not going to, obviously, I don't think grow him up or anything, but he's going to handle that. That's okay with me. Like that's fine. It's okay. I don't feel gross about that. That was okay. And I was happy about that. So even though that was spoiled, but Ahsoka was badass. Like, and you knew, and if like,
can't wait for that spinoff show.
Rumor has it we're getting an Ahsoka show, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and who's she looking for? She's looking for fucking Tarkin.
Oh no, it's so good.
We finally get to fucking, or not Tarkin. God damn, what's his fucking name? Not Tarkin. Tarkin's dead. What's fucking, oh god.
Yeah, why'd you say you said
Oh my
Tarkin,
God,
but
I
it's
said Tarkin, but
Thrawn?
it's not Thrawn.
I'm
It's
sitting here like,
Thrawn.
yeah,
I know.
Tarkin,
Right. Yeah. No.
Tarkin.
They both
It's
start with
Thrawn.
T. It's
Yeah.
fine. They sound similar. It's all the same letters. No, Thrawn, but she's looking for fucking Thrawn, right? She's out looking for Thrawn. So Thrawn does exist in the Star Wars universe, right?
Love
Like,
it. There's talk that they might bring
it's
Robert Downey Jr. in for Thrawn.
really.
That's what they're saying. I'd be open to that.
I'd be open to it as long as they do it right. Like that's just they got to do Thrawn right. Like
Yeah.
they got to do that right.
Well,
So, but yeah,
Filoni and
it's like yeah,
what's your boppers? What's the Kevin Feige or not
yeah,
Feige? Filoni and
whatever. I don't know
whatever his name is.
Yeah,
If they have their hands in it, then it's going to be okay.
I gotta think it'll be
I
okay.
have all faith. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the little after credit scene, the little after credit thing with Boba Fett sitting on the throne,
Setting up his new show too.
The Book of Boba Fett. So it's safe to say the Mandalorian's over, right? We're not getting any more, and that's fine because it ended early.
No, right? I heard that they're coming out with another season.
Man, are they really? Fuck, they shouldn't. No, they should just stop it now. It made sense. They shouldn't do more.
I heard they're doing Mando and they're doing Book of Boba.
They shouldn't do Mando. Separate. They need to just leave it alone. Just let it die. Like it's okay.
I think it could be okay. I think it could be. They could take them both two separate ways. They could take Mando completely separate from the Jedi and just have him keep going on his cowboy quests. And
no, totally. But Mando's. I feel like Mando's arc was Grogu's arc, and now that Mando doesn't watch Grogu anymore, he can just go do his thing. But we don't have to see that. We don't have to be with Mando in his thing. We got to have an adventure with Mando with Grogu. And now Mando goes off and just does his own thing.
There's no way Grogu's not coming back in some fashion.
Oh, I know.
He's just popular of a character, even with the Disney and the money and the stuffed animals.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff, but...
Oh, no, totally. We have a giant. I've got a. Well, it's funny because we have a plushie now of Grogu that's got to be 3 times the size of actual Grogu. It's like this big. It's fucking ridiculous.
Bigger than Yoda.
It's bigger than Yoda. Yeah, it's probably about the size of Yoda. It's probably about the size of a Yoda. But it's Grogu. So yeah, no, they'll definitely bring back, but they should just stop the Mandalorian now. Like they should just stop. And if they stopped, it'd be okay.
I don't know. It's
because it was good. It was complete and it was nice. And I don't need to know the rest of his story. I don't need to know that. Like,
it's just the only thing good with Star Wars, or one of the only things good with Star Wars right now. So I just can't. I can't abide by giving up on it. I want more.
Well, it's not give up. I want
more,
longer
episodes, and I want more episodes.
I want longer episodes. I agree with longer episodes. Longer episodes would be great because then you could put more detail in, and you could have more cool stuff inside. Then you could really flesh out some more characters. You could
Bill Burr
stories. Yeah, you could fill that stuff in, and that would be rad. But I don't want more episodes because then eventually you're going to end up with too many episodes and it's just going to be like, God, it becomes terrible.
Yeah.
Like it was great.
I agree with you.
Leave me wanting
just
more.
Longer episodes.
Episodes. Just give me a little bit more. Yeah. Give me a good Obi-Wan. I want an Obi-Wan sitting on Tatooine in his hut. I want him old, right? Like right before he goes to get Luke. And I want him laughing to himself, writing out a journal of all his old adventures.
Thinking back on it.
And then you go back and have that adventure. And some of them will be with Qui-Gon. Some of them will be with Anakin. Some of them will be at the bar in Tatooine, and I want that. That's what I want out of the, cool. and then leave it alone. Do 2 seasons. Give me 45-minute episodes, 50-minute episodes. So you can fill in some more detail and some stuff and then end it. That's what was so good about Mandalorian is it left me wanting more without going, God,
there's too many episodes. And there's so much in the galaxy that they can explore, so many different characters they can get into. Where I like that. I like that idea where they could do like 2-3 seasons, maybe 3 seasons of each character.
Yeah,
like
a
3-season arc.
But just it doesn't have to be a whole giant lifetime arc. It could just be like the Mandalorian was great. Like, I mean, he had an arc before we found him, and he's going to have an arc after we leave him. But it's really cool just to see this one little bit with Grogu, and we can revisit Grogu, and then Mandalorian can pop back in somewhere if it makes sense, like we can. But we can just leave him alone. It was great. It was a nice story. It was cool. We believe in the guy. He's rad. Yeah, Bill Burr. We could run back into Bill Burr somewhere. That would be okay.
To bring him back. Yeah.
That's, you know, but then, and just leave it and just say, you know what, it was really good. It's good the way it is. We don't want to gild the lily. We're not going to shit all over it.
Yeah.
Leave it. That would be better for me.
Go out on top. That is
go
the
out
best.
on top. Yeah. Like, leave me wanting more. Leave me wanting more. And I do want more, but it was such a nice story. And if you do a third season, you have to tell an entire arc in one season, or you're going to have to drag it into a fourth season. And then, of course, you're going to do a fifth season. And then you're looking at something that just should have ended and is just going on just to go on. So,
damn it. You're right. And I don't like it.
I don't like it either. I don't like it either, but
you ruined it for me.
No, I didn't.
I'm just kidding.
No, I did.
I agree. Yeah.
But that's my feeling on it. It's like, that's why we have 7, 8, and 9, is because they couldn't just fucking leave it alone.
Yeah.
And if you'd have just fucking left it alone, it would have been fine. You know, like, it would have been okay. And now we have 7, 8, and 9, and it's not okay anymore.
Or just have a concise, well-crafted story. And
a well-crafted story. And it can be a little arc. It doesn't have to be a big giant arc. It doesn't have to be something. And I'm worried about Boba Fett. I'm worried about Boba Fett being lame. Like, maybe it's lame, right? Like, that's what was so awesome about Boba Fett, was he just came out of nowhere, right? Like,
he was just
he was just like, no backstory,
endless possibility.
No, yeah. And it was just like, who is this guy? Like, what is this? Like, they came out with the figure, and you're like, fuck, he's got like a mask, and he's like a bounty hunter. We don't know anything about him.
Darth Vader tells him, I'm talking to you, Boba
Fett. No disintegrations right in his face, you know?
Yeah.
But you know nothing about this guy. So, like, it's just like, fuck, my mind is blown, dude. And then Jedi, you know, and it just like, or all through Empire, and you're just like, God, this guy's awesome. It's awesome. It's awesome. And then he ends up fucking dying in a sword, which is embarrassing as shit. But then we get his backstory, and his backstory wasn't any fun. His backstory wasn't great. His backstory was, he's a fucking clone. Like,
that's interesting.
Like,
I dig it.
Nah, no. I wanted the mystery. The mystery was what was fun about him. The mystery, the not knowing. That's what was awesome. Is that, like, who the fuck is this guy? Like that's rad. Like, this guy's obviously like somebody. Who is he? That was the cool part. So I guess he's got some good teenage stuff. I mean, he was like in with a bunch of guys and ran with Dengar and Bosk and all those guys for a while, right?
Yeah.
Like, he did a lot of. So that's all there, and that's legit. But that's, I don't know.
Bosk is badass.
Bosk is pretty nice.
Hold on, let me put a pause on this real quick.
Okay.
Hit the bath real quick. I would have been able to finish that in one take, but get us talking about Star Wars.
I know.
So.
Yeah. Now I'm all excited. My wife is texting me. My wife is texting me, do you know you're yelling? I was like, well, I mean, I'm talking Star Wars. I'm not yelling. I'm talking about Star Wars.
It's like, hold up. Let me check the gains on the mic. Make sure my levels are okay for the podcast.
I know. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to ask if you're sleeping okay. Pipe down back there, woman. Don't stop texting me.
Yeah, I'm busy. I'm talking Star Wars. I don't have time for your complaints.
Yeah. Come talk Star Wars if you want to.
Yeah, right. That's yeah, so all in all, I liked The Mandalorian. I did enjoy The Mandalorian. I'm looking forward to the Book of Boba Fett. I'm really looking forward to the Ahsoka show.
Oh man. Yeah.
And so I think I'm going to go back and rewatch Clone Wars because I really do like Ahsoka. So I think I'm going to go back and follow her episodes. She's really good.
It's definitely worth watching. Started with like season 3 or something like that if you're having trouble getting through the first couple, but
the first couple weren't very good. Yeah,
they were okay.
They were all right. Yeah, there's some good
just
ones.
Gets so spicy later on.
It gets really good. Yeah. Yeah, it gets really good.
And Rebels too was pretty.
Rebels. I really dug Rebels. The first season was it got good. It really did get good. Resistance did not. The Resistance did not get good.
No. That's why they canceled it after 2 seasons or whatever.
Yeah, it just didn't do it.
I'm kind of worried for the High Republic, to be honest, too.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Yeah. I just want the Obi-Wan to be good. That's really like my hope is that we get a really good Obi-Wan story because that character could be so fucking fun, right? Like really rebellious and like it could be so cool. That could be so fun if they do that right.
I want that. I want a Darth Maul or a Darth Vader show, man. That to me, like, how can you not do a Darth Vader show?
I don't know. I don't know if I want to see
just
Vader.
See him going to get his Kyber crystal and making it bleed, and
that could be cool. There's some good Vader lore, right?
Him and Palpatine really going together on their missions and just like destroying, just like really dark. I guess Disney is talking about doing like I don't know, it's like a adult part where it's you have to click into it for like a parental advisory or adult content only.
Right.
And I think that's where they're going to put a lot of their Fox material.
Okay.
But something like that, like if Vader could live there,
that could be cool.
Be a little bit more dark, and
they'll never do it, but that would be cool.
Imagine, I don't know, just my mind keeps going there, and the dark side is leading me toward it.
I want to see some Palpatine stuff. Like that would be really cool. That would be the political intrigue that episode 1 should have been. I want to see that. I want to see him plans within plans and him taking out Plagueis and like all of that stuff. I want to see cool. I want to see that. That's what I want a radio play. I want somebody to do a radio play of episode 1, but do it from Palpatine. Do him taking out Plagueis and setting all these things up and getting the clones going and tell the whole backstory of all the clone manufacture on Kamino and all of that wrangling and all of those plans within plans getting to episode 1. I want a radio show of that. I want a full cast audio drama of that. I think that would be fucking awesome. They'll never
and then
they
make Snoke Plagueis somehow and
make
Snoke make sense.
yeah, and then talk about cloning facilities and for the Emperor and all the other No, but
what do you think about that in the Mando? Would be fun. They talk about cloning in the Mando.
Oh, they did.
Or they show the cloning tanks,
and
it looks like it could be a Snoke in there.
Yeah, maybe.
Hard to tell, or a Palpatine, maybe, but it's definitely alluding to the fact that we fucked up in the sequels, and we need to make this make more sense.
Yeah,
let's write this into the Mando somehow.
Total retconning everything. Yeah, they just ignore it and just go on. Yeah. So, but I've got medium hopes for the other Star Wars stuff. I'm happy with Mandalorian. I really wish they'd stop it now. I'll take a 3rd season, but I don't want a 4th or 5th or 6th season.
They'd have to really wrap it up.
Just really wrap it up.
Figure out. Like you got Bo-Katan. There's a whole story that they could go on with that.
Totally. Yeah, but that doesn't have to be that doesn't have to be a Mando thing. It could be a Mandalorian, not the Mandalorian, but a Mandalorian lore story, and then work on the Darksaber and everything.
Well, one of the ideas was to do the Mandalorian, but it's not like just Din Djarin. Like it could be now instead of following him, we follow Bo-Katan or something like that in the next couple seasons.
I could see that. Yeah. Well, now you have the problem of the Darksaber, right? Like that is a problem. Like that's a thing.
You have to figure that out. Yeah.
Or not. And like, I don't have to see, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to see it. Just because it exists doesn't mean we have to see it. It doesn't.
No,
You
we
could just,
need
you could like,
more.
you could give me Lobot's backstory. You could give me or a season on Lobot's backstory. That would be cool. Like,
from a certain point of view, imagine that. Like if HBO could get Star Wars and they could make it Game of Thrones violent.
That's like, and that's all like, you could go back Knights of the Old Republic style. You could go back to all of the old Sith. Like, you could do that and it would be dope, but they never will, because Return of the Jedi taught us that merchandising is a thing. that's what
I love Ewoks.
I don't.
Come on.
No, man. They're all right. They're pretty badass they're pretty badass little warriors. But that was Return of the Jedi was a toy commercial, and that's when the rails fell off. Was Return of the Jedi. That was the beginning of the end. That's as much
commercialism.
As much as I love, as much as I absolutely love Star Wars, and I absolutely adore Star Wars. There's only 2 good movies in the whole lot of the fucking things. Like, A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. That's it. The rest of them are garbage. I like Solo. I did enjoy Solo. I like Solo. I thought Solo was good.
I like Rogue One.
Rogue One was good too. I did enjoy Rogue One, but I really like Solo. I like Solo more than I liked Rogue One because it felt
Rogue One
Han Solo it to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Rogue One, after reading Catalyst, I think even makes it even like 10 times better. It's like, it just really connects you with the characters so much more. I think Rogue One needed a little bit more like backstory or something to get you closer to the Ursos, but I like Jin a lot.
Yeah. You just locked out on me. Are you still there?
Whereas Catalyst really gets into it.
Yeah, you just locked out on me for a good 5 or 10 seconds.
Oh yeah, you did that earlier to me too.
That's funny. That's funny.
Well, I think we turned this into a Star Wars podcast
I think so.
now.
I think so. We might have to, maybe we'll edit some of that out. We'll just
I could just cut that into a Star Wars pod, like a little mini episode.
Do like a little mini 20 or something. Yeah,
20-minute episode.
I don't think we need to tack 25 minutes of Star Wars on the back of so maybe let's throw that in on a bonus content. Oh man. All right, cool. Well, so
I love Neverwhere. I think
good. Awesome.
If you're listening and you haven't read, watched, listened, or experienced the radio drama, you should do so. Even if you've done one of those 3, you should do the other 2, because it definitely completes the experience and it just makes that much more richer. Especially if you're going to do like 2 of the 3, do the book and the TV show.
Yeah,
I think the TV show was just amazing. It was really cool, even though it's a little bit tiny bit dated.
No, it's a little dated. It's
just because it was a little bit. It was filmed back in the day, but it's it's a BBC show, and it was wonderful.
Part of the reason it looks dated is they were going to shoot it on film, and at the very last minute they shot it on video instead to save money. So that's why it looks the way it does. It's why it has all this weird lighting and shit, is because it was supposed to be for film. And then at the very last minute, they said, no, we're just going to video it. And then there was talk about running it through some filters to make it look more filmy, and they just never got around to it. So
that's weird. Oh man.
So cost savings at the last minute. But it get over the fact that it looks a little weird, but it's a great.
It was a good addition. Like it really added to the book in a way that it's like it completes it. It makes it feel whole. Like you really do feel like the character choice, the actor choice was just straight, like really, really well done.
Yeah, I feel like it didn't detract away, and I feel like the edits that they had to make to take out, because it went from like, I think it's like a 13 or 14 hour read through, listen, to 6 episodes that were about 40 minutes apiece. So they took a tremendous amount out, but it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like they cut all this stuff out. So yeah, I think it's a really good addition. I don't think it's a substitute, but I think it's a really good addition to it. It fills in some gaps. So
check it out. It's on YouTube too. I did end up finding it on YouTube. It has like a French subtitles on the video, but it's decent quality on a cell phone. You can watch it. It's definitely watchable. So very much recommend it, and totally recommend the book Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
Written in 1996.
Yep.
And if you guys are going to follow us along, make sure to check out The Peripheral by William Gibson, which is going to be coming up next episode. I think we're going to be here back with you guys in a couple of weeks. So what do you think? We really appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to check us out on Instagram, YouTube, pretty much all those socials. We'll have links down in the description.
And we should be on more podcast servers too. I tried to sign us up for some more podcast servers. So check out podcast servers. If there's a podcast server you prefer and we're not on it, let us know and we'll see what we can do to get on there.
Yeah.
Cool.
The magic behind the scenes.
That's right. All the good
it's
times.
Happening. Cool. Well, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll see you all in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
This has been the Hologram Media Club podcast.
We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you.